Midnight News coming to you live from Algiers with Madame Zian to the headlines. 30 Palestinians were killed in two Zionist massacres amid intensive bombardment in Rafah and Khan Yunis, with a new massacre at the school in Al Nusayrat. Next, a massive wave of displacement was witnessed in Deir al-Balah in just 3 days. In Gaza's Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital remains operational despite evacuation orders. Also coming up, 3 Palestinians were killed by Israeli occupation forces in the West Bank. And the Zionist army holds the bodies of 32 Palestinians, some for decades. And later on our news, Russia launches major strike on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, while Ukraine issues nationwide air warnings. First, in our news, the Zionist occupation forces committed 2 new massacres in the Gaza Strip, resulting in 30 martyrs being taken to hospitals, while 66 others were injured within 24 hours. On Monday, the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza announced that the death toll from the ongoing aggression on Gaza has risen to 40,435 martyrs and 93,534 injured. In the same context, 7 martyrs were brought to hospitals in Khan Yunis after being found in different areas on southern Gaza. On top of that, the civil defense recovered the bodies of 7 more martyrs who were targeted while fishing on Gaza's Shate. These victims were taken to the Ma'madani hospital in Gaza City after an airstrike.
Well, I'm just a father, like any other who has lost a child. I've lost someone who was everything to me. My soul. Ala was not just my son. He was his mother's, his brother's and sister's rock, the second man of the house. Now he's gone, and we're all shattered. Ala is dead, and a part of us died with him. May God have mercy on his soul. This is the reality of our country of Gaza. It's a place that keeps giving up martyrs. Every minute, more and more innocent lives are lost. The entire Arab and Muslim world, and even Europe, must come together to stop this war. There's bloodshed on the people of Gaza. Gaza's suffering. Every home here has a martyrs, innocent children. We're pleading with the world to end this.
In the Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza, several Palestinians, including women and children, were martyred and injured in a Zionist airstrike that targeted a school sheltering displaced people on Monday. Additionally, the occupation's artillery targeted the area around the Malaysian school north of the camp. And in just 72 hours, the Deir al-Balah municipality reported that 250,000 Palestinians were forcibly displaced and 25 shelters were shut down. The new wave of displacement targeted northern eastern areas of the city, worsening the already severe conditions for residents, with nearly half of the Gaza population now in the stricken area. The Palestinian Health Ministry confirmed on Monday that Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital continues to operate despite being declared a military zone by the Zionist occupation forces. In a statement on Monday, the ministry clarified that around 100 patients remain in the hospital, with some in intensive care. The Palestinian Ministry of Health called on international organizations to protect the hospital, its patients, and its medical staff.
The Ministry of Health continues to announce that Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital is still operational and our medical teams are still working inside the hospital. However, the announcement regarding the surrounding areas of the hospital being designated as operational zones has caused panic and fear among citizens, patients and some medical staff. This fear stems from concerns about a similar scenario to what has happened in other hospitals. As a result, a large number of patients have left the hospital. Currently, there are more than 200 patients still inside the hospital wards.
Patients have been evacuated from the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah due to a new Zionist evacuation order, leaving the central governorate without its only hospital. Zahra Fajani has more details.
Gaza is in desperate need of help. Who will come to its aid? Schools and hospitals alike are under threat, leaving no safe haven from the relentless Zionist occupation. With the situation in Gaza becoming increasingly dire, where can its residents possibly turn? Once more, families in the Gaza Strip are fleeing from hospitals, including those of Al-Aqsa Hospital, driven by the fear of a repeated invasion. This fear has been exacerbated by a Zionist evacuation order for the areas nearby.
They ordered us to evacuate, and now we are evacuating. We are only afraid for our children. What can we do more than this? What's happening to us is not right. I swear, what's happening to us is wrong. What should we do?
A warning came to evacuate the hospital. We are still undergoing treatment and need painkillers. Where do we get treatment now? I'm sick and my body is shaking. Where do I go?
For those forced to leave, death now seems a more honorable fate than facing yet another round of displacement. The prospect of moving to an uncertain future is frightening, especially as the so-called safe zones touted by the occupiers turn out to be mere mirages.
Our fate is that we will die here. This is how we see it. Our lives are over. There is no safe place. There is no safe place left for us. We don't know where to go.
The new wave of evacuation and the unclear displacement scenario have left thousands of Gazans wandering aimlessly in the streets, overwhelmed by confusion and despair. According to estimates from the Deir al-Balah municipality, around 250,000 people have been forcibly displaced within just 72 hours.
We don't know where we are going. We don't have money, food or drink. We don't have anything. We have children. Where should we go?
Gaza is now completely unsafe, with no secure areas anywhere. Residents are uncertain about their next step as the occupation's destruction continues. Each time they find a moment of respite, they are forced to flee again, pursued relentlessly by missiles with no mercy.
As the crisis in Gaza nears its 11th month, residents continue to face severe food shortages. While UN or World Food Programme aid helps to ease hunger, it mainly consists of canned goods that often lead to health issues, particularly for children. Marwa Belhawar has more details.
In the sweltering August heat, hundreds of Palestinians endure endless hours of waiting at the gates of a United Nations distributor center in Jabalia, desperately hoping to receive a food parcel. For over 10 months, many of these families have been surviving on little more than canned goods.
The citizens do not need canned goods. Food must be diversified to meet daily nutritional needs.
Mahmoud Abu Sidu, a father, clutches his food parcel as he makes his way home to his children. Though he is grateful for the few cans that will stave off hunger for another day, he acknowledges that the aid is barely sufficient to meet his family's needs.
It's not bad, but they should give us vegetables and fruits that would help us endure better. The canned goods and the preservatives they contain are ruining our health.
While this humanitarian aid is crucial for the survival of Gaza's residents, the reliance on canned food is taking a toll on their health, often leading to illnesses like skin rashes.
The food parcel includes canned meat, peas and halva. It's not bad, but it causes illnesses in my children. Skin rashes. Look at my son, he's covered in spots.
The people of Gaza are living through what some describe as a genocide unfolding behind closed doors. They are subjected to relentless bombings, massacres and forced displacements. As if these horrors weren't enough, hunger and thirst have also become weapons of war, used to further crush their spirits and bodies in a conflict where their rights are systematically violated.
Palestinian Prisoner Club revealed that Israel is holding the bodies of 32 martyrs who died in detention, some for decades. A joint statement from the Prisoners Club, the Palestinian Prisoners Affairs Commission, and the Palestinian Dignity Foundation listed these martyrs and noted that the oldest case dates back to the 1980s. They also estimated that 81 bodies have been held since October 7. The list includes only those cases publicly announced by the Zionist entity. Hamas has stated that far-right figure Itamar Ben-Gvir's confirmation of plans to build a Jewish synagogue at the Al-Aqsa Mosque represents a dangerous declaration. It reflects the occupation government's intentions towards Al-Aqsa, its Arab and Islamic identity, and its criminal steps to Judaize and tighten control over it.
The occupation has committed unprecedented crimes in the Gaza Strip and widespread violations in the West Bank. The freedom given to extremist ministers to implement their plans in Al-Quds and at the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque, desecrating it, storming it, and carrying out provocative tours on a daily basis, is a policy that adds fuel to the fire. Our people will respond with more resistance to protect our sanctities. We call on our people in the West Bank and within the occupied territories to mobilize, rally at Al-Aqsa, and confront the occupation's plans.
On Monday, the Jordanian Foreign Ministry condemned Itamar Ben-Gvir's statements about the Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied Al-Aqsa as an acceptable incitement. In a statement, the Jordanian Foreign Ministry expressed Amman's absolute rejection and condemnation of Ben-Gvir's extremist remarks. It highlighted Jordan's intention to take all necessary measures to stop attacks on holy sites and to pursue legal actions in international courts against violations that represent a serious escalation.
The extremist and racist statements made by Itamar Ben-Gvir regarding the establishment of a Jewish synagogue at the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque are a violation of international law and an unacceptable incitement that demands a clear international stance to condemn and counter it. The Kingdom reaffirms its absolute rejection and strong condemnation of these statements by the extremist Israeli minister, which fuel a policy of extremism and seek to alter the historical and legal status of Al-Quds and its sanctities. Al-Aqsa Mosque, covering its entire area of 144 dunams, is a place of worship exclusively for Muslims.
Algeria has urged the international community to address the violations by Israel in Gaza. Speaking at the UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva for the 75th anniversary of the Geneva Conventions, Algeria's UN representative Ammar Ben Jama called for accountability for Israeli actions, emphasizing that the massacres in Gaza must not be overlooked.
Enfin, un message.
Finally, a message to hold accountable and remind that all those who violate humanitarian law and international law must be held accountable. I cannot conclude without mentioning that the massacres committed by the Israeli occupier in Gaza, we cannot turn a blind eye to what has happened in Gaza. And we must remind the Israeli occupier of the international law and its responsibility concerning the protection of Palestinian civilians.
It is the largest Palestinian community in South America. 500,000 Palestinians have settled in Chile over the years, and their distance from the homeland has only strengthened their eternal bond with a land that has been seized, stolen, and desecrated by the Zionist occupier. In these difficult times, thousands are concerned about the fate of their brothers in the Palestinian enclave and the occupied West Bank, and the distance only exacerbates the situation. Salman Nasib has more.
Murals and graffiti decorate the streets of the Chilean capital, Santiago, home to the largest number of Palestinian diaspora in the South American continent. With more than 500,000 people, they all express their deep concern about the ongoing genocide in Gaza that claimed the lives of more than 40,000 martyrs in few months.
Today, we can see genocide online in the 21st century, and this problem hurts us. It hurts us a lot because the Palestinians in Chile are going through this, because they are our brothers, and we are experiencing it with great pain, because all this means the loss of lives, the loss of jobs, the loss of hospitals.
In the Patronato district of Santiago, street art has its say and it demands an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, just like these athletes of Palestinian origin, who can no longer hide their emotions. They express themselves on the playing field, while the kufiyeh, a symbol of solidarity and Palestinian nationalism, decorates the shoulders of the supporters of Deportivo Palestino club.
Being a fan of Palestino, lately, it has become complicated. Although we are Chilean, we have friends who are here, who come from Palestine, and tell us about the pain they suffered because of the Zionist occupier. It makes me sad and angry, but we are here to show little joy to these people who are suffering.
Our club has very clear values. The Palestinian cause and the cause of the liberation of Palestine is one of the driving forces of this club. So we're letting the players, the technical staff, and the officials know this.
Simple but significant, these acts of solidarity give space to the Palestinian diaspora to make the Palestinian voice heard, like these supporters that adorn the stands with the colors of the Palestinian flag, a figure among many others aiming once again to make the Palestinian voice heard and challenge international public opinion to plead in favor of just causes.
In other developments, this Monday morning, the Israeli occupation failed in its attempt to assassinate a leader of the Palestinian Islamic resistance movement Hamas in an airstrike targeting him in Sidon, southern Lebanon. Lebanese medical sources confirmed that the target of the airstrike and some of his family members were injured. And local media reported that the Israeli entity attempted to assassinate Hamas leader Nidal Halhil by targeting his car with 2 missiles fired as he was leaving his home between the Abra area and the Sidon neighborhood in southern Lebanon. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani stated that strategic equations in the Middle East have changed in a way that does not benefit the Zionist entity. In a comment on Hezbollah's response with attacks on Zionist military targets in the occupied territories, Kanani emphasized that the myth of the invincible army has long been a false slogan. He described the Zionist forces as terrorists, noting that they have lost their ability to launch effective attacks and deter threats and now must defend themselves against strategic assaults. Spanish Foreign Minister José Manuel Alvarez stated on Monday that a full-scale war in the Middle East can be avoided by implementing a ceasefire in Gaza. In an interview with a Spanish radio station, Alvarez noted that Spain has been warning for months about the risk of the conflict escalating into a regional war.
We have long warned of the danger of the crisis in the Gaza Strip, spreading to Lebanon and then escalating into a devastating regional war. The formula that Spain envisions is the initiation of dialogue process that results in the establishment of a Palestinian state, living in security and peace. The alternative is war, and the international community must clearly understand that peace in the region can only be achieved through political will and the courage to implement it.
Lebanese Minister of Energy and Water Walid Fayyad viewed Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboun's plan to provide Lebanon with fuel as an extra boost from Algeria to help maintain social and security stability in Lebanon.
The initiative led by His Excellency President Tebboune is appreciated for Lebanon because it comes at a time when Lebanon has a precarious or risky situation in terms of the power supply. It helps us diversify the power supply. It helps us also increase the power supply and opens the door for a sustained relationship with Algeria. Algeria that is not only a very strong political ally of Lebanon, promoting the unity of Lebanon, promoting the sovereignty of Lebanon, promoting the resistance of Lebanon against the, I want to say, Zionist interventions, military interventions and crimes, but also an ally of Lebanon on the economic front and especially on the energetic front, where it can open for us an avenue of cooperation in relation to access to fuel, conventional fuel, but also access to gas. We will look forward to a future where we can cooperate with Algeria on gas issues and also gas access and also on fuel access to diversify our energy mix and to also transform our energy mix and help us implement satisfactorily our energetic plan.
Algeria's permanent representative to the UN, Ammar Ben Jama, emphasized the need to work towards ending the violations committed by private armies employed by certain countries. During a discussion session at the UN headquarters in Geneva on Monday, marking the 75th anniversary of the Geneva Conventions, Ben Jama warned against the lack of accountability for these parties concerning their violations and the threats they pose to the region.
15e anniversaire de la Convention, la technologie qui nous impose de discuter.
Technology compels us to examine right now the new threats facing our states. I don't want to mention just these technological threats, but also those private armies that are rented by some states and are accountable to no one. This morning in the press, I read that 20 Malian civilians were bombed by a drone, and those who commanded this bombing are accountable to no one. At the Security Council level and at the General Assembly level, we need to try to find a formulation that can integrate the actions of these non-state actors and also hold these non-state actors accountable for what they commit against international humanitarian law and international law in general.
Du droit international humanitaire et du droit international tout court.
And the latest on Algeria's presidential campaign ahead of the September 7th election after the break. The Algerian presidential candidate Youssef Aouchiche stated that he will focus on honoring the country's cultural and linguistic diversity to build a true cultural radiance, steering away from the divisions some seek to create. Aouchiche, while campaigning in Nizgen Ghardaya in southern Algeria on Monday, promised to establish a national agency dedicated to preserving all elements of Algerian identity by supporting purposeful associations.
Today, we must reconsider our culture and our uniqueness. We must revive it on solid foundations, those of the richness of our diverse cultural and linguistic traditions. For us, this diversity is a source of wealth and can contribute to the development of the country, rather than the opposite, as some attempt to portray this diversity as a cause of discord and division.
والانقسام احنا حابين عبر برنامجنا في الانتخابات الرئاسية هذو نحافظوا.
Through our program, we aim to preserve our identity and continue building it based on this richness, on the foundation of our various traditions and customs, and on the basis of our cultural influence. We are committed to creating a national agency to preserve and promote our culture and the entire heritage of our civilization.
للحفاظ عفوا وتعزيز ثقافتنا وكل مكونات حضارتنا.
Fatah Boutbik, the head of the Mustaqbal Front party in Algeria, said that the independent presidential candidate Abdelmajid Tebboune has managed to restore national calm after years of attempts to sow doubt and chaos. Boutbik, speaking at a rally in Ghiliza in western Algeria on Monday, praised the achievements made during Tebboune's presidency, which according to him have been encouraging for the economic sector.
السيد عبد المجيد تبون أعتبره مجدد الفكر الوطني وفكر الدولة.
I consider Abdelmajid Tebboune to be the renovator of the national thought, the thought of the state, the initiator of economic revival. He relies on Algerian women and men, and especially on the youth. Abdelmajid Tebboune told you yesterday, in the Wilaya of Oran, today's era is the era of honor and integrity. He outlined the key points of his program, and it is the truth in a single term, which was incomplete due to exceptional circumstances like the COVID-19 pandemic. He nevertheless managed to restart the national economy, maintain the foundations of the Algerian state, protect the dignity of the citizen and the nation, and restore social peace.
ويحافظ على أواصر بناء الدولة الجزائرية محافظا حريصا على كرامة المواطن والوطن، واستطاع أن يعيد الهدوء الاجتماعي. يا إخوان نرجعوا شوية اللورة ب 40 50 لورة. نقاش كبير، انفلات في الأفكار، نقاش كبير داخل المجتمع، تيهان، فوضى.
Remember, dear brothers, 4 or 5 years ago, there was a major debate within society. Chaos was everywhere, particularly on social media. Rumors were spreading here and there, all with the aim of undermining and sabotaging the unity of the Algerian people, so that they would never rise again with the new civilizational foundations. When Abdelmajid Tebboune came to power, he succeeded in restoring the financial balance of the public treasury. He managed to control the situation. We must present things objectively. We do not sanctify individuals, but rather the actions and results that we have seen with our own eyes.
نحن لا نقدس الأشخاص، نحن نقدس الأفعال والمناقب والآثار التي رأيناها بأعيننا.
Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf congratulated Mohamed Ali Nafti on his new role as Tunisia's foreign minister. During their phone call on Monday, Attaf suggested organizing a bilateral meeting soon to further strengthen the dynamic and strategic relationship between Algeria and Tunisia. On Sunday, Tunisian President Kais Saied stated that he is engaged in a battle to free the country from corruption and poverty, especially in the interior regions. During a visit to the interior area of the CAF governorate, President Saied emphasized the need to mobilize efforts to continue the fight to liberate Tunisia from these issues.
God willing, together we will fight corruption in all its forms as well as poverty. My visit here is not by chance. Even in Tunis, the capital, some neighborhoods are marginalized. This marginalization must end and corruption must be eradicated. Competence exists everywhere, and we must provide the necessary resources. Even our public enterprises are aligned with this vision to counter the plans of those who are unfortunately against our interests. The law must serve the citizen, not the other way around.
The Tunisian head of state reaffirmed his commitment to overcoming challenges and achieving justice while rebuilding essential public services. Here's Kais Saied.
In several regions of the Republic, we observe these excesses, and we must put an end to them. By increasing the penalties that are already effective, we aim to prevent a group of individuals from seizing all the wealth. We're not against anyone, but everyone should receive their share within the framework of the law.
The Libyan Joint Committee or Military Committee 5+5 reassured Libyans about the stability of the ceasefire and the continued dedication of its supervising and monitoring committees. In its final statement from meetings in Sirte on Sunday, the committee clarified that any claims of it abandoning its role are unfounded and reflect a misunderstanding of its mission.
We assure the Libyan people of the stability of the ceasefire and that all the committees overseeing and monitoring its implementation under the 5+5 Joint Military Committee continue to work with dedication and sincerity. Any rumors suggesting that the 5+5 Joint Military Committee has abandoned its role are mere falsehoods and reflect a lack of understanding and appreciation of the task assigned to it. The committee confirms that it operates within a defined framework related to the ceasefire and its monitoring. It was not tasked with unifying the military institution, nor does it have the necessary authority or resources to expel mercenaries and foreign forces, or to organize and integrate armed groups. Such responsibilities fall under the purview of the state's executive bodies.
The committee affirmed its full commitment to operating from its headquarters in Sirte and holding all meetings there permanently until its mission is complete.
The committee reaffirms its complete commitment to activating its headquarters in Sirte, operating through it, and holding its meetings permanently at its headquarters in Sirte until the completion of its assigned mission. The committee has reviewed the situation of political division and its impact on implementing the remaining provisions of the ceasefire, as well as its effect on the national security of the state in general. The committee will announce its position on this matter to the Libyan people in the coming days.
Still in Libya, the Waha oil company is warned of an imminent halt in oil production if current protests and pressures continue. The company announced a gradual reduction in production and called on relevant authorities to intervene urgently to ensure the continuity of crude oil flow. Meanwhile, the Libyan government of national unity has stressed the need to implement its plan to boost oil and gas production and to prevent the closure of oil fields under false pretenses. On Monday, the Libyan Foreign Bank warned that state institutions might be cut off from key institutional financial systems due to the Central Bank of Libya crisis. The bank's management, in a letter to Mohammed Ali Darrat, highlighted concerns from international institutions about possible impacts on the bank's classification and the risk of global financial isolation.
During these communications, it's been noted that these entities have lost confidence in the Libyan banking sector. This loss of confidence is likely to result in strict decisions by the relevant authorities, including the U.S. monetary authorities, specifically the U.S. Department of the Treasury, which is responsible for granting official approvals to the entities authorized to conduct all banking operations in U.S. dollars. Any actions taken by international monetary authorities to isolate the Libyan banking system would render all commercial banks operating in Libya, along with their clients, unable to meet their obligations to their partners. This situation would also expose them to legal liabilities with the concerned parties.
Moving on to updates on the war between Russia and Ukraine. On Monday, Russia's defense ministry reported a major missile and drone strike on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, affecting critical facilities for the military-industrial complex. All targets were hit, according to the ministry. In response, Ukraine confirmed that 15 regions were impacted, with air raid warnings issued nationwide. Kiev experienced power and water disruptions following the attack, and the Ukrainian military also destroyed up to 10 drones near Kiev, and air raid sirens were activated across central and eastern Ukraine to alert residents of potential further strikes. And for more international news, let's follow this report by Yasin Irekti.
The United Nations has reported that a cholera outbreak in Sudan has resulted in the deaths of 28 individuals, with more than 600 others infected. The epidemic has spread to at least 12 of Sudan's 18 states. The World Health Organization and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees have confirmed the presence of cholera, malaria, measles, and dengue fever in these areas. They have warned of the seriousness of the situation, particularly due to limited local resources and capacities to detect and respond to these diseases, especially in hard-to-reach regions like Darfur and Kordofan.
Japan's defense ministry announced that fighter jets were scrambled on Monday in response to a Chinese aircraft violating Japanese airspace. The incident occurred near the Danju Islands in the Nagasaki region. The ministry confirmed the violation and noted the urgent deployment of jets to address the situation.
Bulgarian President Roman Radev announced that early parliamentary elections will take place on October 27, following the failure of political parties to form a coalition government. This marks the 7th time early elections have been called since 2020. President Radev also confirmed that an interim government led by Dimitar Glebshev will be sworn on Tuesday to manage the country into the elections.
Recent torrential floods in Yemen have claimed the lives of more than 120 people, leaving 10 others injured. Official data released on Monday indicates that this natural disaster is the worst in decades, affecting around 40,000 families and damaging thousands of homes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight's edition. Thanks for watching and have a great night.